Hi, friends. In our time together today, we're going to talk about solving a problem. As you play your whistle, you're inevitably going to get some moisture in it. A little bit of condensation, but mainly it's just your saliva. And it gets in the whistle, and you know it's in there a couple of ways. You're playing, and you might start to get a gurgly sound, and that means the saliva's not running out. It's just staying up in the mouthpiece, and it's blech. Sometimes it seems like you're having to push your air through something, and you're getting a really soft tone with too much moisture's collected up in here. You can't stop it. It's just part of playing the whistle. A couple of things you could do to mitigate it, though. We haven't talked about cleaning our whistles, and that needs to happen. But you can't stop in the middle of playing and say, oh, excuse me, I have to go clean my whistle. Or you're practicing and you want to go clean your whistle. It just doesn't really work. Now, on a low whistle, it's easier somehow. I think on a big whistle, it's a little harder to get everything out. So we've talked already about you do a couple of quick things. Blow into the tone hole, sharp breath, cover the tone hole, blow into the mouthpiece with a sharp breath, cleans that out. But you still got a wet tube. The body of the whistle's still wet. So with a couple of things to do. All woodwind instruments are accustomed to this problem. And like with my saxophone, I've got a swab that I stick in my saxophone, and I keep it that way. But then in the middle of playing, sometimes I get some moisture issues. But with a whistle, I find I get them more, and I have to just clear that moisture. So what I like is a swab. And so I ordered a really inexpensive flute swab on Amazon, and it came with a nice little microfiber cloth and this swab, and it came with a dowel rod that had a hook on the end you could put the microfiber cloth on, but that doesn't fit up into my low D whistle very far, and I don't want to take it apart every time. So what I did, I took the dowel and the swab and I taped it together so that while I'm playing, I could blow the moisture out, and then I can slide this up into my whistle. Be careful you don't smack this into your mouthpiece. Could hurt your mouthpiece. I'm not saying it will, but it's good to keep the inside body of your whistle polished. When you keep the inside body of your whistle polished, you're clearing out the grit and the grime that naturally builds up. The moisture will run away down out the whistle. Sometimes you'll feel it on your fingertips while you're playing. Sometimes it's dripping. It's just the reality, right? The smoother the surface on the inside of your whistle polished, the easier it is for that moisture to run out. And so we all need one of these. So I love to just stop. If I'm having issues in the song, I'll stop and I'll do that. But this was so cheap, and it's not really all that good. And it's got a plastic cap over a metal piece, and that scares me. So I think I'll make one. Haha. So what I did was, before I tell you how I'm going to make it, you can go to, I think the MK folks sell a low D whistle cleaning kit, but it's like $50. And so I put that on my Christmas list. You could buy a flute cleaning swab. It looks like it has some fans on it, and it's soft cloth, it's absorbent. But those are more than $50 to get one that's going to work. So I thought I'm gonna make one. So for 99 cents, I bought a dowel and I cut it to size so that I'd have a little handle. And yes, it looks like I glued the piece of an old rag towel on there. Well, I did. I cut a piece of towel and I glued it on there. Now, I don't want to use a lot of glue because glue can leave some sharpness to it. So I'm going to wrap this around and I'm going to just quick whip sew this on, oh, I lost my needle and thread. I'm going to sew this around, and then I'm going to take an old microfiber washcloth and I'm going to put that around, and I'm going to make sure it's not too fat. And so, like the terry, it leaves lint, and I don't want to use that, but the microfiber cloth is not going to. So I'm going to sew this on, and I'm going to leave some at the top so that I've got like a soft top that will go up into the whistle better. And I'm going to make it so it fits not firmly, but close to firm into the whistle. So I'm going to sew that on. You don't need to sit around while I do that. I'll be right back. Okay, so I just got back from sewing this on to the stick. I glued one end of it. I made a rough calculation as to how thick it should be. I didn't want the terry to be the thickest thing. I want the microfiber to be the thickest thing. And if I go to my whistle, that's, oh yeah, I've got nice room. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out how much of this microfiber cloth I should cut. And I'm then going to, I don't want it sliding on and off. I'm going to make it longer than this, and I'll make sure I sew it so that it's a little bulky in places, but I'll sew it to the terry cloth, the old towel that's there, and I'll make it a little longer. And so I'll figure out how much I need to cut, and then I'll sew that on there. I'll be right back. Alrighty, so that was quick, right? I just came back from cutting a piece of the microfiber and wanted to show you what I'm going to do is, do you see how that's longer than the terry, the towel? So I'm going to want the microfiber to extend a little beyond. I already had the towel extend beyond the dowel rod so that I can get soft bits up into my mouthpiece area, but I don't want the lint from the towel to get into my mouthpiece and cause me more trouble. The microfiber won't do that, so I'm going to make that a little longer past the tip of the towel end even, and then it extends below the towel, and I think I've cut enough that it's going to go into my whistle okay. I'm going to sew this on. I'll be back in a few minutes. So I sewed the raw edge, the cut edge of the microfiber cloth on, and I left the sewn edge so that when I wrap this and sew it on, I don't have any raw edges exposed. I just wanted to bring that out. I'm about to sew that together and we'll see if it works. Well, my friends, here it is. I've got a nice soft tip. It extends probably an inch past the dowel. It's maybe a hair smaller than I wanted, but I have no raw edges, so no lint's going to come off. I could clean this, leave it out in the sun to dry. I couldn't put it in a dryer or anything because I fixed it. It's not as firm a fit as I'd like, but actually it's a pretty good fit. And so I can take that into my whistle. I get it up to the mouthpiece nicely without worrying about hurting anything. I can make sure I get all the sides. That's awesome. So I'm going to get rid of my other one. I'm going to use that. However, one other thing, when you're not playing your whistle, maybe in a basket with a towel around it or something, or by a whistle stand, if you keep your whistle upright, that won't let a lot of blech sit up in the mouthpiece and start getting that gunked up. Sure, we'll talk about cleaning our whistles soon, but I wanted to show you this brilliant thing. You could buy one, you could make one, you could go my cheap tape one together route. but work on keeping that moisture out of your whistle. It'll play a lot better and you'll be a lot happier. Until next time, my friends, this is Scott Shade. Happy low D whistling.